I'm Donna Sidoris, owner and CEO of CSI SaddlePads. I'm very excited to be with you today to bring you a special edition of Ken Mcnabb's show, Discovering the Horseman Within.
Now the sun is rising slowly on the mountain you must climb, and the trail that takes you closer to the source. And you dream about the moment when you leave it all behind and climb up on that one true horse. That one true horse, the perfect partner built to ride. One true horse, a bond that cannot be denied. You would search forever just to have the chance to take a ride on one true horse. I'm gonna take a ride on one true horse.
We're going to talk today about the CSI SaddlePad. We've been proudly manufacturing them here in the United States for the last 11 years. Not only are they manufactured here in the U.S., but they're made by American hands with only American material and a lot of American pride.
I want to talk to you first of all about the construction of the CSI pad. What makes the CSI pad amazing is all of the pieces of construction that go together. In the last 6 years, I have ridden a CSI pad 12,000 hours. Not the same pad, mind you, but for 6 years I have ridden it and I ride about 2,000 hours a year. I've never sored a horse's back, I've not broke any hair off of their back, and I've not left any white marks on their back. And I ride horses hard, I ride all day long. My whole crew use CSI pads. We even pack on CSI pads. I am so ecstatic about what the pad has done, and I really believe that it's the construction that does it. Plain and simple. That's what it is. To start with, you have the pressure plate. That is the most important part of the pad. You have this pressure plate, and it is designed to mimic the bars of your saddle. So when you lay your saddle down on top of this pad, your bars are going to ride right on this pressure plate, and they're going to disperse the pressure out across the horse's back in a wider area throughout the whole pad. Okay, so that's the most important part. But then you roll into the contour, and the contour on this pad is critical. It fits the horse's back. I've got it sitting up here on top of my saddle on purpose because I really want you to see the way it contours there. It mimics your horse's back. And that's something that CSI really nailed. When they put that together, they designed it. It fits every horse I put it on. I've got mutton withered horses, I've got high withered horses. We ride 100 different horses on the ranch every year, literally 100 to 120 head, and I've never found a horse that the CSI pad doesn't fit and doesn't improve. Okay, so that's critical. Then on top of the pad, you've got air holes that go along in here, and that helps keep this horse's back nice and cool, right? What that does is it gives more breathability. We've got felt in the bottom of the pad, and that will wick moisture away from the horse's body, and it will help the horse's body breathe and keep the sweat from just overheating and boiling his skin and scalding him. But those air holes will breathe heat out the top of the pad, right off the top of the horse's back. Lots of times you'll pull your saddle off and find a dry mark right down his back where that air is drying his back as it comes off of him. Another thing that's critical in these pads is the wear leather. You want a really good wear leather on a pad. That isn't just to look good, it has a job. And what it does, if you look on the felt, we've actually cut away the pad itself. So then the wear leather lays in there, and it just works out really nice to bring that even down to the cinch from my saddle. It sets it on a nice even plane, and its job, the wear leather's job, is to keep me from wearing out my pad or pinching and blistering my horse's rib cage. That's what it does. Those are the two jobs that it has to do. And so it's critical that it be a quality piece of leather that's going to last. You know, and that's one of the things, again, that I like about the CSI pad. It's got a seriously good quality wear leather on there that will do a nice job of protecting your pad and protecting your horse. But one of the things that I think is overlooked most frequently is the fact that it's a two-piece pad. What creates broken hair on your horse's back is friction. That's what breaks the hair, okay? So it's like if you wear a hat that's too tight all day and you pull it around like that and it leaves sores on your head, and you end up with like broken hair and your head kind of sore from readjusting your hat like this, right? Well, that's what happens is friction gets on that horse's back. Or if you take and just rub the hair on the back of your hand, that's friction, and it ties that all in knots and breaks that hair. And that's exactly what's happening under the pad. So by making it a two-piece pad, we've actually added one more layer to reduce friction on your horse's back. And then if you add a one-piece liner underneath to keep your felt clean, you can add even another layer, right? I don't do that, but you can. So what I've got is a layer between the flex plate here, the pressure plate rather, here, and then my saddle. And then I have the layer between the top piece of the pad and the bottom of the pad, and then I have where the bottom of the pad touches my horse. So this piece in the center goes a long ways towards reducing the actual friction on my horse's back, and I think that's critical. I think it's one of the key elements of making this pad truly successful. Now, one of the things that I think is critical for people is that you place your pad correctly. Right? When you saddle your horse, there are some things I like to see about your pad. First of all, I see people sometimes set their pads like that, right? Where it's flush to the front of the saddle. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Your horse's body works things backwards, not forwards. The lay of his hair goes backwards. Everything goes backwards. So when you ride, if your pad slips, there's a 99% chance it's going to slip backwards, right? So I always set my pad so that it's flush with the back of my saddle right here, because this part of my saddle really doesn't do anything. It displays, it kind of displaces pressure a little bit, but most of my saddle, the work happens right here. So as long as I just cover that with the back of my saddle, and if you've got lots of extra pad, that's fine. This is a big square skirted saddle, so I don't have that much extra pad hanging out. So I run my pad, the extra portion of it, forward under my saddle. Here's another thing that people do that really annoys me. They set a pad on crooked like that, okay? And I tell my guys, I walk up to them if I see that, and I'll just grab their pins and twist them around sideways and say, how'd you like to walk around like that all day? It's uncomfortable, right? You wouldn't do that. So don't do it to your horse. Pick your pad up, and it takes you a couple of minutes, right? To walk around and look at the other side of your horse and say, hey, is everything straight and even and clean? When I was a kid in high school, I was wrangling for a ranch. They run a lot of cattle and a lot of horses, and I was working as a wrangler there. And I was really proud of how fast I could saddle a horse. And finally one day the boss came to me and he said, Ken, you're pretty fast at saddling horses. I said, yes, sir, I am. He said, you ever sore one? I said, occasionally. He said, well, do me a favor, slow down and quit soring horses. It kind of hurt my feelings, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized he's absolutely right. Take the time it takes to get your pad set. When you throw this pad up there on that horse, I like to see the horse's back be comfortable, right? That's the idea of the pad. If we weren't worried about the comfort of the horse, we wouldn't even use a pad. We'd just throw the old saddle up there. The saddle doesn't need it, right? 100 years ago, that sheepskin right there was considered adequate padding. They didn't have to use a pad. We're concerned about the comfort of our horse's back. So I want that pad to lay on my horse's back and to be contoured in there really nicely. And then I want it centered. That strip up here on top, that's the center of the pad. It needs to parallel his backbone all the way, right? It needs to lay over top of his backbone the whole way. When I saddle him, when I'm all done, that should be right under my saddle horn. And before I cinch my saddle up, I come back here and I grab a hold of the back of that and I look at the whole thing and I kind of make sure the whole thing is even, and then I grab the front and the back and I pick it up. I'll show you what that looks like from the other side. All right, I come over here, make sure everything is even. I grab the front and the back and I just wiggle it up into the saddle, into the gullet of the saddle. That gets me an air pocket right under here. gives my horse that much better of a chance of being comfortable in everything that we're gonna do. Then, when I go to tighten him up, again, we talked about that wear leather, okay? And you can see how it lays down in here flush to the horse's back, right? That's its job, is to take the latigo that stands off the horse's back, off his rib cage, the girth that lays to it, and be a spacer between so that we come out with a nice, flush, even look to the latigo and to my horse's body, right? We're not pinching hair. That's the main idea.
Hi, I'm Donna Sidoris, owner and CEO of CSI SaddlePads. We're going to talk today about the CSI SaddlePad. We've been proudly manufacturing them here in the United States for the last 11 years. Not only are they manufactured here in the U.S., but they're made by American hands with only American material and a lot of American pride. What sets the CSI SaddlePad apart is this flex plate. This blue area that you're seeing is actually what is in the raised area of the saddle pad itself. So it's hard, but it's flexible. What the plate does is it distributes the rider's weight, the bar pressure, and the impact that occurs evenly across the loin of the horse. So the plate itself is the orthotic, and then the wool is the shock absorber. So it's a combination of the two parts that makes the difference. Another benefit of the CSI SaddlePad, I as a consumer wanted to build you the very best product possible. So for 11 years we've been trying to improve upon our quality. The outer shell is automotive carpeting, so it's very durable. But last but not least, we make the pad as a two-part system, so the wool is actually removable, reversible, and replaceable. So what that means is you have more value for the dollar you spend. The other thing that's a benefit to your horse is the contour that we build into the pad. There's a 2.5-inch lift at the wither, 1/2 inch at the hip, so you can see how that's not just a flat pad going across the horse's back. It's shaped like your horse's back, so it creates a better saddle fit environment for your horse as well as for you. The pads are 100% money back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, simply just give us a call. We'll help you in every way we can, and if it just doesn't work for you, you're going to get your money back, even when you get them dirty.
There's one more thing that's important to me on a pad. And I think that's the same thing that's as important to you. I think everything we've talked about is important to you, but I think there's one more thing that's critical, and that's the longevity of a pad. In 2006, CSI sent me a prototype pad that was made out of felt. We still ride that pad. My family has fought over that pad for years. When we get ready to go on a family ride, that pad's still in my tack room, and it's the first one that everybody rushes to get. That's the pad we fight over. 6 years later, we're still using the exact same pad, right? We wash it, we clean it, but these pads have incredible longevity, and it's because of the construction. The fact that they are 100% made in America just is a bonus. Every piece of it, even right down to the Velcro, is actually made in America and then assembled in America. It's an American-made product, and that tells you, that's the whole story. It'll last. It's got durability. One of the great things about the CSI pad is cleaning it, right? This part doesn't really need cleaning. On the other hand, if you want to, you spray it down with a foamer unit, rinse it off, it's really good. This pad right here, you stand it up, and I like to use like EQ Solutions or something like that, and I'll foam it down really good. And I let it set for about, 15 minutes, and let that pull that dirt out of there. Then I flip it around, and I spray it from the back, actually the top side through. Because again, the concept of the felt is that it will wick moisture through the horse's, off the horse's body. So it's pulling that up this way, right? So what I want to do is blow it back out and push the dirt out. So I take the high pressure hose and just hit it from the bottom. Now I'm not using a car wash, mind you, just a hose with a spray nozzle on it. And I push that dirt back out through the bottom and then come back around and rinse this off. Honestly, your actual labor time invested, a few minutes. You know, it's things like that that to me make the pad so darn good. You come back, make sure those holes line up, and your pad is back together that quick, and you're ready to go. You're done. The product is clean and ready to go, and you can clean your horse's pad once a week, once a month, as often as you want to. It really doesn't matter. You know, frankly, how often do I clean them? Not often enough. I should clean them more often, to be honest. So it's not like you have to do it every day, but if you want to, it's easy to do. That's the beauty of the CSI pad, is the workability of it, how much easier it makes your job every day. You know, one of the things that I mentioned earlier that I really like about the CSI pad is the contour. And what that contour does when it fits that horse's back, it reduces the roll of your pad, right? Your saddle doesn't roll around on your horse's back near as much when that pad fits his back. So it allows you then to ride more securely and sit on your horse's back feeling better. Now, don't get me wrong, the CSI pad is not going to make you a world-class rider if you're not already. And the CSI pad is not going to make a poorly fit saddle perfect, but it improves everything you're doing. We put so much faith in them. I rope on these pads all the time. Everything I do with these pads. And what happens when you rope on a horse, you take whatever size animal you're roping and you're pulling him from back here, right? So at about a 45-degree angle off your saddle horn. So the back corner of your saddle, the right-hand back corner of your saddle, bears a ton of pressure and weight, right? And so let's say that animal weighs 1,000 pounds. I roped an old mama cow. He weighs 1,000 pounds. You got 1,000 pounds of pressure put on your horse's back. That CSI plate goes in there and evens that out to where even when I'm roping heavy, I don't end up with sore-backed horses. When I'm riding them around here, it just gives me the confidence to know I can ask of my horse anything I need, and I'm going to get absolute perfection out of my pad. It's going to do its job so that my horse can do his. If your pad is hurting if your saddle is hurting your horse's back, it's going to affect his performance, right? So if you have a pad that will do its best to protect your horse's back, then you're going to get the best performance he's capable of.
Hi, I'm Donna Sidoris, owner and CEO of CSI SaddlePads. We're going to talk today about the CSI SaddlePad. We've been proudly manufacturing them here in the United States for the last 11 years. Not only are they manufactured here in the U.S., but they're made by American hands with only American material and a lot of American pride. What sets the CSI SaddlePad apart is this flex plate. This blue area that you're seeing is actually what is in the raised area of the saddle pad itself. So it's hard, but it's flexible. What the plate does is it distributes the rider's weight, the bar pressure, and the impact that occurs evenly across the loin of the horse. So the plate itself is the orthotic, and then the wool is the shock absorber. So it's a combination of the two parts that makes the difference. Another benefit of the CSI SaddlePad, I as a consumer wanted to build you the very best product possible. So for 11 years we've been trying to improve upon our quality. The outer shell is automotive carpeting, so it's very durable. But last but not least, we make the pad as a two-part system, so the wool is actually removable, reversible, and replaceable. So what that means is you have more value for the dollar you spend. The other thing that's a benefit to your horse is the contour that we build into the pad. There's a 2.5-inch lift at the wither, 1/2 inch at the hip, so you can see how that's not just a flat pad going across the horse's back. It's shaped like your horse's back, so it creates a better saddle fit environment for your horse as well as for you. The pads are 100% money back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, simply just give us a call. We'll help you in every way we can, and if it just doesn't work for you, you're going to get your money back, even when you get them dirty.
Thank you so much for joining me, and until next week, may God bless the trails you ride.